Welcome to our Trump Briefing Show. Today, we've got some exciting updates from around the world. First up, Iran's Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, has made a bold return to the spotlight, warning the US not to mess with Iran again after a recent attack, calling it a slap to America. Tensions are high, but Iran is reopening its airspace and shops, signaling a pause in the conflict. Next, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is riding a wave of support after his military strikes against Iran, which temporarily weakened Iran's nuclear and missile capabilities. While many Israelis back him, political support is a bit shaky, and the ongoing Gaza conflict keeps everyone on edge. Netanyahu's balancing military goals with political stability, talk about a high-stakes game. Finally, in the US, President Trump's 2024 victory is shaking things up. A new report shows that his win was driven by a diverse voter coalition and higher turnout among non-voters. It's a reminder that American politics are more dynamic than ever. Please continue to watch for more detailed insights coming up. The Toronto Star vividly depicts Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei's assertive return to the public eye, delivering a fiery message that underscores Iran's defiance and strategic strength amidst ongoing regional tensions. Khamenei's speech, his first since June 19, was laced with warnings and threats, emphasizing Iran's retaliation against U.S. aggression, notably dismissing the impact of recent U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear sites as exaggerated and insignificant. His tone was resolute, asserting Iran's capability to strike U.S. military centers in the region at will, and branding the recent attack on a U.S. airbase in Qatar as a slap to America's face, a clear message that Iran remains unbowed and ready to escalate if provoked further. The article details the damage inflicted on Iran's nuclear infrastructure by U.S. and Israeli strikes, confirmed to be substantial by the UN nuclear watchdog, yet Khamenei downplays their significance, signaling that Iran's strategic resilience remains intact. Meanwhile, Iran's partial reopening of its airspace and the gradual return of normal life in Tehran reflect a country cautiously emerging from the shadow of war, even as casualties mount on all sides. The narrative underscores the complex, high-stakes chess game involving US, Iran, and Israel, with Iran boldly asserting its regional influence and warning of future retaliation should aggression continue. Deutsche Welle's coverage shifts focus to Israel's political landscape, highlighting Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's recent military actions against Iran as a potential turning point in his career. The article captures the palpable relief across Jerusalem following a fragile ceasefire that ended a 12-day conflict, with many Israelis expressing pride in Netanyahu's decisive strike against Iranian nuclear sites, seen by supporters as a necessary move to safeguard Israel's future. Public opinion polls show overwhelming support for the attack, which Netanyahu claims as a historic victory, bolstering his image as a strong leader after recent security failures. However, the piece also reveals the complex political calculus ahead, noting that Netanyahu's coalition remains fragile and that his support is heavily dependent on military success and the handling of Gaza. As the focus shifts back to the ongoing conflict with Hamas, critics question whether Netanyahu's military actions truly serve long-term peace or merely bolster his political standing. The article paints a picture of a nation at a crossroads, where military achievements may temporarily boost Netanyahu's popularity but do little to resolve the deeper, persistent conflicts in Gaza and with Iran, leaving Israel's future security and political stability hanging in the balance. CNN reports that President Donald Trump's electoral strategy in 2024 was notably successful in attracting a more racially and ethnically diverse voter coalition than in previous elections, with significant gains among Hispanic, Asian, and Black voters. Pew Research Center's analysis highlights that about 25% of voters changed their support from 2020, with Trump maintaining 85% of his previous supporters and gaining new support from a segment of Biden's former voters, including 5% of Biden supporters and 3% of Trump supporters switching allegiance. The study underscores that most voters stayed consistent, but the small shifts among different demographic groups, coupled with increased turnout among previously disengaged voters, contributed to Trump's victory. Interestingly, non-voters in 2024 were more evenly split than in 2020, suggesting that higher participation could have favored Trump even more, emphasizing the importance of voter engagement and turnout in shaping election outcomes. CNN also details GE Appliance's decision to invest nearly $500 million in reshoring washing machine production to Louisville, Kentucky, moving away from China amidst the tumult of U.S. trade policy and tariffs. CEO Kevin Nolan explains that while tariffs accelerated the reshoring process, the primary motivation was strategic, driven by a desire to produce more efficiently and serve customers better in the U.S. market. The company's plan involves automating new production lines, creating 800 jobs by 2027, and establishing a flagship plant that will feature cutting-edge technology like robotics and autonomous mobile robots. Nolan emphasizes that these investments are long-term strategies rooted in economic sense and customer service, not solely reactionary measures to tariffs. This shift reflects a broader trend of American manufacturers aiming to rebuild domestic supply chains, despite challenges such as labor shortages and the complexity of establishing new facilities from scratch. Foreign policy discusses the ambiguity surrounding Trump's recent social media post suggesting that China could continue to purchase oil from Iran, which could imply a relaxation of U.S. secondary sanctions on Iranian oil exports. This potential policy shift could have widespread implications, affecting global oil markets, U.S. allies, and adversaries like Russia and China. Iran's oil exports surged in response to geopolitical tensions, and a possible easing of sanctions might enable Iran to boost revenues, although the actual economic benefit remains limited due to Iran's aging infrastructure and Western firms' cautious approach. The ripple effects could destabilize global markets, influence U.S. and Chinese energy strategies, and impact Russia's economy, which is already strained by low oil prices. Trump's unpredictable stance on sanctions and oil policy underscores the complex, often contradictory nature of U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East and its global consequences, leaving key players uncertain about future developments. CNN reports that the International Olympic Committee, under Kirsty Coventry's leadership, has hit a pause on the rapid selection process for the 2036 Olympics, signaling a shift towards more member involvement. Coventry, in her first major decision as president, recognized the need for greater transparency and inclusivity, citing overwhelming support from members to review how hosts are chosen. India's bid, which has gained momentum among at least 10 competitors including Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, and Turkey, now faces a more scrutinized process. Coventry also announced plans to establish 2 working groups, one to examine the host selection process and another to address gender representation issues, particularly in women's boxing, amid recent controversies. Her vision emphasizes Olympic values of compassion and diversity, aiming to inspire youth and foster unity, even as she navigates a complex landscape of international bids and political challenges. The Guardian details the UK Parliament's passage of Kim Leadbeater's assisted dying bill, which has sparked a stark diplomatic rebuke from the US State Department. The Biden administration condemned Britain's move, claiming it promotes surrender and death, and framed the legislation as state-subsidized suicide, in a dramatic stance that underscores deep moral and political divides. The bill, narrowly approved with a 23-vote majority, would legalize assisted dying for terminally ill patients with less than 6 months to live, requiring approval from multiple medical and legal professionals. This legislative shift puts the UK at odds with the US, which previously criticized Britain over free speech issues, highlighting a broader divergence in values. The bill's passage in Parliament, championed by MPs like Kim Leadbeater, was driven by compassion for terminal patients but has ignited protests on both sides, with opposition voices warning of ethical concerns and potential misuse. The Associated Press reports on the contentious aftermath of President Trump's military strikes against Iranian nuclear sites, with senators scheduled for classified briefings to scrutinize the operation's success and legality. Despite claims from Trump and intelligence officials that the sites were completely and fully obliterated, preliminary U.S. intelligence suggests Iran's nuclear program has only been delayed by a few months, raising questions about the true impact of the strikes. While many Republicans have defended Trump's actions and the administration's narrative, some voices, including senators like Rand Paul, challenge the constitutionality of the president's unilateral military decisions, advocating for congressional approval. As the Senate prepares to vote on a resolution requiring such approval before future strikes, the debate underscores tensions between executive power and congressional oversight, with lawmakers demanding transparency and clarity on whether the U.S. has effectively curbed Iran's nuclear ambitions or merely inflicted limited damage. The Tennessee Lookout reports vividly depict the ongoing legal saga of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a Maryland man caught in the crossfire of the U.S. immigration enforcement system. Garcia, wrongly deported to El Salvador after a routine traffic stop, now faces criminal charges related to human smuggling, despite the Department of Justice admitting the deportation was a mistake. His court appearance in Nashville was emotionally charged, with his wife celebrating their wedding anniversary amidst the tense proceedings. The case underscores the complexities and contradictions within immigration policies, highlighting concerns over whether Garcia can be released without the imminent threat of deportation, as federal prosecutors and immigration authorities grapple with their authority and coordination. The judge's decision to delay Garcia's detention while legal arguments unfold reflects a broader debate about the rights of individuals in immigration detention and the potential for their precipitous removal, raising questions about the fairness and oversight of enforcement actions in a system often criticized for its rigidity and lack of safeguards. The Associated Press details the Supreme Court's intense and multifaceted docket, which includes pivotal cases that could reshape American legal and social landscapes. Among these is the contentious issue of birthright citizenship, with the Trump administration seeking to restrict the rights of children born in the U.S. to parents in the country illegally, a move that has faced strong opposition from Democratic-led states and civil rights groups. The court also faces cases involving religious rights in public schools, redistricting disputes in Louisiana that test the boundaries of race and politics, and Texas laws regulating online pornography, which threaten to infringe on free speech and privacy rights. These cases, argued amidst a politically charged atmosphere, reveal a court deeply engaged in weighing the balance between state authority, individual rights, and social equity, with decisions expected to influence the legal fabric of the nation for years to come. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.
Lights dim, voices loud, headlines flashing loud. World in a frame and now, stories told, it's time to vow. Eyes glued, truth pursued, understanding woven through. Heartbeats race breaking through, knowledge spreads the new view. Breaking the news, breaking the day, truth and insight our way. Every story, every play, live and clear we convey. Shadows lift, facts unfold, moments chasing, stories told. Heroes, villains, tales of old. In this hour, truth is gold. Depths revealed, voices bright, news in focus, black and white. Every angle sheds some light, morning, evening, through the night. Breaking the news, breaking the day, truth and insight our way. Every story, every play, live and clear we convey. Truth and insight our way. Truth and insight our way. Breaking the news, breaking the day, truth and insight our way. Every story, every play, living clear we convey. Every story, every play, and clear we convey. Truth and insight our way. Truth and insight our way. Depths revealed, voices bright, news in focus, black and white. Every angle sheds some light, morning, evening, through the night.